Hi, how you doing? Justin Sandico here. Welcome to the Folk Fingerstyle module. In this series of lessons, we're going to be looking at lots of different folk guitar techniques. Predominantly, I guess we're going to be looking at the picking hand, learning some specific finger picking patterns that you can use in folk music. And as well, we're going to be looking at open position scales, how you can combine those scales with chords to create melodies within your finger picking patterns, which is a very, very common kind of folk technique, to be able to play the chords and the melody at the same time while you're doing the alternate picking with the thumb. It's kind of complicated, but if you learn it in stages, as we're going to do, you shouldn't find it too tricky. In this first video, we're going to talk about the things that you need to know before starting the course and some of the techniques that you're going to need to use throughout the course. So the first thing, your prerequisites, the things that you really need to know before you get going. The first one is your open chords and your bar chords. I'm not going to be explaining how to play the chords cleanly. I'm going to assume that you know that. I also think that you should know the notes in the open position. So all of the notes on all 6 strings up the first 3 frets at least, really, by now. It'll also be very good if you understand the idea of keys, what exactly a key is, how we use a key, and how the major scale relates to the chords in a key, because we're going to be using that as well as we learn our different kind of chord melody arrangements. And it would also be good if you've done the intermediate stage, the intermediate method foundation thingy, finger style exercises, just to make sure that your fingers are kind of used to picking strings individually before you get going on this. Couple of common questions that people have about playing fingerstyle. The first one is, do I need fingernails? Well, no, you don't have to use fingernails. I like to use fingernails. I think I like the sound of them, and they kind of make it easier for me, but you definitely don't have to. There are some world-class fingerstyle guitar players that don't use fingernails. If you find that your fingernails break a lot, the first thing you want to try is some nail hardener, which is just like a paint on stuff that makes your nails a little bit more brittle, a little bit stronger. If you're playing steel string guitar, you might end up needing to go for acrylic nails, which is what I have. These kind of, they're not really stuck on, they're kind of painted on, but they're quite thick plastic coatings on the fingernails, which if you're playing a lot of fingerstyle guitar on a steel string guitar, you might need to go down that route. A lot of kind of professional and semi-professional players do, but no, you don't have to use fingernails. So if you haven't got any fingernails, don't worry about it. Now, really important thing that we're going to use throughout the whole course is this idea of fingers being assigned particular strings. Now, it's not like this all of the way through playing fingerstyle guitar, and even during this course I'm going to show you some exceptions to the rules, but it's a really good idea to have as a default setting that the thumb is going to be playing the thickest 3 strings, and the 3 fingers, fingers 1, 2 and 3, are going to be playing the thinnest 3 strings. Now, we don't really use our little finger. Well, at least I'm not going to be showing you any stuff using your little finger. Some people do, but not very many. Most people just use their thumb and fingers 1, 2 and 3. Let's go to a quick close-up and just have a look at the way that these fingers are going to sit on the strings. Okay, so just to make sure that we're totally clear on that, thumb is going to be taking control of the thickest 3 strings. So the thickest string, the 5th string, and the 4th string. First finger is going to be playing the 3rd string. Second finger is going to be playing the 2nd string. And the 3rd finger is going to be playing the thinnest string. Now, it's that way nearly all of the time. If I just playing a bit. You can see the way the thumb might jump around quite a bit, but the fingers tend to stay on those strings. Like I said, it's not like that all the time, but as a really good default setting, that's what you should be doing. Another thing you're going to find very important through this course is being able to look at the tab and the music for the patterns that you are playing. Now, there's a few reasons for this. The first thing is that if you can see the pattern and kind of follow it along with your eyes, it'll really help keep track of what notes should be played together and what notes get played between the beats. Now, this brings up another really important thing, which is the beat. Now, all of the stuff we're going to be looking at is in 4/4 time, and I'd really recommend that you get good and really solid with your 4/4 fingerstyle playing before you start exploring other time signatures. Now, in 4/4, our thumb is going to be playing on the beat all the time. So it's going to be playing on beats 1, 2, 3 and 4. Might be on different strings, but the thumb will always be playing on the beats 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now, even if you don't read music notation, if you just look at it quickly, you'll see that there are 4 notes with a downward stem. So the little dot and then the little line coming off the dot is going to be pointing down. Now, they are the bass notes and they are the beat. They will always be on the beat. And the notes with the stalks kind of going up, the stems going up, those are going to be the melody notes, and they're generally played with the fingers. So if you're reading written notation dots, you can normally tell which is the bass line, or the notes played with the thumb, and which are the melody notes which are played by the fingers, because they're going to have the up strums. So that's really important. It's also really important that you get the idea, if the thumb is on the beat, that you can look at the melody notes and see if a note is played with the thumb, i.e. it's going to be played on the beat, or if it's played on the ands or the off beats, where it'll be between the thumb. Right? That's really, really important. And I'm going to coach you through a lot of this now. All of the patterns that we're going to do are going to be really slow, and I'll take you through it. But it's a really good idea to be aware of how that works, so that when you come to make up your own patterns or you're doing more advanced stuff, that you get the idea of looking at things always as either on the beat or off the beat with the thumb, or between the notes that the thumb plays. It'll really, really make life a lot easier for you. So whenever you're looking at the patterns, make sure that you get the pattern written down in front of you. Those lovely people that have bought the DVD, you'll have an e-book to print out, so make sure you print that out. Maybe grab a pencil as well, so you can write any notes in, maybe write the rhythms or the counts or whatever if you need to. If you've stumbled across this video on YouTube, you want to get over to justinguitar.com, click on the lesson index, find the folk fingerstyle section, and go to the individual lesson so you can see the sheet music while you're practicing it. It'll really make a big difference. So make sure you check that out. Now, a couple of last little things. You'll find sometimes on written fingerstyle notation this PIMA, and that is the kind of the classical notation for the fingers. P being thumb, pulgar, I index, M medio, and the A for annular, I think it is. I tend to use thumb, first finger, second finger, third finger, because I think it's simpler and it makes more sense than to me explaining stuff. So that's what we're going to be using. If you want to reference some other fingerstyle stuff, you might need to know that explained on the website. And the last thing is anchor fingers. Now, a lot of my favorite guitar players use their little finger as an anchor. It kind of rests on the body of the guitar, and then they play fingerstyle. And to be honest, if I had a long enough little finger, I would probably do the same thing, but I don't. I've got a really stumpy little finger, so it just doesn't work for me, because if I do that, all my fingers get too cramped up. Now, there are a few techniques as well where using an anchor finger could be a hindrance, but lots of great guitar players use one. Lots of guitar players don't use an anchor finger, so it's up to you to decide what feels comfortable for you. There isn't a right way or a wrong way. Really, it really is your call. As I said, I would probably use an anchor finger just because it kind of seems steady, especially if I'm standing up playing and performing or whatever. I often think I wish I had a kind of some sort of anchor there instead of floating, especially if I'm moving around. So I probably would if I was starting from scratch, if you feel comfortable with it. If you don't worry about it. That's plenty enough talking from me. Let's get in and learn our first fingerstyle pattern in Folk Fingerstyle Part 1. See you soon. Bye-bye.